Hi there, Serial Trader here. I just want to bring up a developing pattern here that should present a good opportunity on CGC. And just a little side note, the same will apply to WEED as this is the Canadian listed version. But as far as labeling and discussion, I'm just going to stick with CGC. But certainly anything I say there would basically apply here as well on the Canadian equivalent. Anyways, it looks like we have a nice impulsive rally off the lows there in late December, and you can certainly count it as a nice impulse wave, 5 up, and tentatively for an initial wave 1 up after this large 3-wave decline we had from the October highs, which were the all-time highs here. And since then we've been consolidating, and a little tricky here. So the way I have it labeled right here, we have an initial A wave down. We've been forming this triangle B wave, and then we'll have one thrust down in a wave C for a larger wave 2, which would give us a deeper Fibonacci retracement than what we've had so far of this initial move up. So far, that A wave, as it's labeled here, only retraced a 382 multiple of that. And normally, if it's a second wave that we're looking for, you'd be somewhere between the 50 and the 618 is a more typical retracement. So that's one of the reasons I don't want to label that as the bottom here in wave A. And also, triangles on their own can only form in certain wave positions, and wave 2 is not one of them. They can form in the B wave position, or the 4th wave position, or the X wave position, but they cannot be a standalone wave 2. So if I am correct in labeling this wave 1 up and working wave 2 down, then a triangle on its own cannot be a wave 2. And what I mean by that is, let me delete this and show what else could be the pattern here, right? So this is, as far as the pattern goes itself, not regarding the position within the overall wave structure. You could have an A, B, C, D, E low in place, right? And we could be starting our triangle thrust up. Only problem is you can't have a triangle wave 2. So unless the overall wave count is something different, this doesn't work, and a thrust up just wouldn't seem the high probability scenario here. But nonetheless, it could still happen. There could be a different interpretation here that would allow for a thrust out of just a simple triangle. And we're getting very close to that point, obviously. So because both of these situations, although I favor the thrust down a little more because of the overall wave outlook here and the position within the pattern, the actual just staring at this in isolation and disregarding the previous price action, this pattern itself, basically it's 50-50 whether we just have a simple triangle in place and we're going to thrust up, or whether we have a, as I was showing before, a more complex thing where there's a triangle within a larger ABC. And I'll just bring that back up here. And I believe I did it like this. And then we'd be expecting that thrust down, right? Okay, and I'll bring up the ABC labeling as well. So this is obviously an opportunity because volume drops off, price range drops off, you get close to this apex, and then you know that a big move is coming, whether it be up or down. Sometimes you have a really good idea, like on the McDonald's triangle, it's pretty high confidence that it's a wave 4 triangle and the thrust up, or the thrust should be to the upside. But in this case, not so clear. Even though I'm kind of leaning towards the thrust down, it's not a high confidence proposition. So the real high confidence play here is just playing for a large move in either direction, instead of trying to gamble as to which direction it's going to be. So I think buying a straddle here, an appropriately priced and dated straddle, is a good play to take advantage of a large move in one of the two directions. So that's what I'll be looking for here. I haven't made any entries yet, but to me this is a very nice pattern shaping up. Good opportunity. Triangles have been one of my most successful individual patterns that I've traded over time, so I certainly look at them very seriously, as they are basically the grade A trades for me. But that being said, if we do get this thrust down into a nice C wave for wave 2, and we go deeper on our Fibonacci retracement of this initial move up from December, if we get that, that'll be a great buying opportunity for a stock entry or an option entry, long call entry. But in this case, buying stock here or selling stock short, I mean, you could do it and you'd have to use a tight stop. But I'd rather, as far as stock goes, I'd like to see this resolve before I actually do a stock position, or at least start breaking out one way or the other before I make any moves for the stock. So right in the middle of this triangle range, I don't want to try and do something with stock just yet, but I am liking the idea of buying a long straddle here. And well, that being said, let's go to the thinkorswim candlestick chart, okay, and just have a quick look here if there's any other clues. And not really anything going on, obviously, in a triangle of some sort, whether it's just a standalone triangle or a B-wave triangle within a larger ABC. We have that rising 50-day moving average. Hasn't really been a factor. We haven't really gone down to test it as support or anything. It's just kind of caught up after that big move up we had there initially. We do have a nice golden cross, 50 is above the 200, but keep in mind, having a thrust down, you can come down and challenge that 200 on a triangle thrust down in a C wave, and that would still be bullish, and then you'd bounce off the 200 or something, or this longer term trend line as well, which is around the same area, and then resume the uptrend. So looking at candlestick signals, not really any clues here. I mean, this isn't a bearish engulfing. Got a doji here, small little bullish hammer, but just kind of hovering around the T-line. Volume's quite low. So as you get close to the apex of a triangle, volume usually dries right up as price range decreases. And then all of a sudden you have an increase in volume and then an increase in the price range. So we know that a resolution's coming soon here. But again, as I mentioned on the the wave chart there, it's kind of a 50-50 coin toss as to which way this breaks. But that's okay. You can make a move with stock after you get a little directional clue, but in the meantime, and I've played this before on CGC and some other triangles as well, buying a straddle. So if we look at the April straddle prices, so this is the April monthlies, 33 days away currently, but by the time trading starts next week, it'll be less than that. So basically a 1 month expiration. If we look at the, well, we're at 45.89 on a closing basis, and our strikes range from 45 to 47.5. So the closest thing to at the money right now would be 45 strike on the April monthlies. So you're basically looking at, let's see here, for essentially a near the money straddle, you're looking at around $6, okay, high fives, low sixes. So it has to go basically $6 in either direction at expiration to break even. Obviously, it requires a smaller movement than that leading up to expiration to break even. So if we look at that, and okay, we're at 40, let's say we're at 46 now. So if we have a $6 move, that would get us to 52 to the upside, okay? And that would be roughly the high here that we've been correcting from. So let me just highlight that with a horizontal line. So basically 52 at expiration is the break even, and then to the downside, basically be looking at 40, $6 move down to break even at expiration. Okay, and there we go. So that's basically your range, and pretty high confidence scenario that we're going to break, regardless of which direction we break, that will exceed one of those two areas, okay? But it doesn't seem that good. So maybe if we, now once this breaks, it's going to move quite quickly, okay? So maybe we don't need as much time as a month. So let's look at the, let's give ourselves, around 2 weeks here, less than 2 weeks. Well, this is essentially 2 full trading weeks, just not 2 calendar weeks. So 10 trading days starting Monday, this will give us. Now looking at these prices, and we have more strike prices available, which is nice here on these weeklies. So around the 46 strike is at the money. So if we did that and a straddle, so we're basically looking at under $4. So right now these quotes could change easily, next week, because right now nothing's live. But as of these, kind of stale quotes we have from Friday's close, we're looking at between 368 and 378 for the mid price, and then the actual ask price there. So well under $4. So if we do that from our current price, that'll change things quite a bit. So now we only need $42 to the downside to break even, and now we only need $50, actually less, but I'm just rounding up to $4 for the move to break even to the upside. So that looks pretty reasonable. And this might be the straddle I'll be looking at buying on Monday. And then obviously, once we do have that triangle thrust, or at least the beginning of a triangle thrust, you can make maybe a move with some stock as well. But I like this idea here. It's a pretty high confidence straddle. I love buying a straddle near the apex of a triangle. It's a very high confidence play. It probably has like a 90% win rate, just anecdotally speaking from past experience. And the risk relatively small. So the risk of actually landing right on the strike price you bought and having it expire worthless, very low probability of that happening, especially near the apex of a triangle where you know a breakout is coming. So that's just a trade idea for now. I haven't made any moves on it yet, but I thought I'd bring it up because it's something I'm watching very closely in the coming, possibly as early as Monday, but certainly the coming trading days. All right, Serial Trader signing off.